Welcome to Season 2 of the Pints and Perspectives podcast hosted by WellHouse Church. This show understands that there is quite a bit of diversity amongst the body of Christ. So we operate according to the motto that certain things are fixed, like the essentials of faith, and the best beer is served on tap, while everything else is just a matter of perspective.
We need a theme song. It's Pints and Perspectives.
Do you want me to leave that in?
Do whatever you want. You're the boss.
I will leave that in.
I work for you, Cullen.
Welcome to Pints and Perspectives, friends.
Hey, it's your boy Adam. I need a tagline. I'll figure it out. Comment below. What should my opening tagline be? It's your boy. No?
You got multiple that
Oh,
you're
no,
offering
that was it.
about?
That's all I had.
So it's a yes or no? I was waiting for multiple.
No. They're supposed to write in their ideas.
Oh, got it.
Like,
I'm so sorry.
Snip, snap, your boy's right back. It's Adam and Cullen. I don't know. Maybe he's going to fire me, I swear. Bring back Clayton. Bring back Clayton.
I love it. Okay, so Adam, tell me about your beer that you're both excited about and slightly dreading.
Okay. I should have prepared for this. So first of all, when I got here, Cullen was like, I got some beers. You can pick whatever you want. And I saw this big red A from across the room. I love Avery Brewing. They had a beer back in the day. Maybe they still make it, Maharaja. And it was it's an IPA, but maybe it was like a barley wine IPA or like a real malty IPA or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. Anyways, but what I do remember is that it was from Avery and that I loved it. And I saw this big A and I got really into Avery for a while. And so I saw this A and I was like, yes, let's do it. This is the Reverend Belgian style quadruple ale. And it has a really cool picture. They probably can't see that. It's probably too far away, right?
Yeah, it's probably too far away.
It has a cool picture of a menacing reverend, and I just feel like it's my soul. Dark, decadent, divine, and 10% alcohol by volume. Let's see if we make it through the episode. Oh, I can't open it yet.
Not yet.
The drama.
So I have something from Lagunitas, which if you know the Lagunitas, just the normal IPA that's around, that's not my favorite just around IPA. But to be fair, we also said last episode, this is Houston. We have a lot of great local brews.
True.
So like if I'm just looking for that around IPA,
sure,
it's Ardcar from St. Arnold, right, or Hopadillo from Carbach.
Yeah, they sold out though.
They did sell out, which
it's still a good beer, but y'all are sellouts.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So, but Lagunitas is a brewery, and this is the Super Cluster. It says that it's a Citra hopped mega IPA.
Marketing, I tell you what.
Intergalactic proportions.
Oof.
And so, in all honesty,
sounds like
Lagunitas
bullshit.
is not starting out on the best playing field with me.
Lagunitas has some good beers, though.
They do. But this shit better be off the charts.
It better be mega.
It better be mega.
It better be out of this world.
It better be intergalactic, as they say.
It won't be.
So here's what it says.
It's not going to be.
Here's what it says. You are here on a speck of dust,
Speck of dust, I bet it says.
Oh, it does. Okay, here we go. You are here on a speck of dust, 3 tiny rocks from the source, at the edge of something much larger, in the middle of something else, at the beginning of the end. It's a lot of wrap your head around, so take it one gulp at a time. Life is uncertain. Super Cluster is a Citra hopped mega IPA of intergalactic proportions.
Deep.
Everything we've learned about making hop forward beer, pale, cold, and bitter.
You're just on a speck of dust.
I'm on a speck of dust. So
it's true, isn't it?
I guess. I mean, if you call the Earth a speck.
In the grand scheme. Have you seen those new James Webb telescope pictures? It is a speck of dust.
Yeah, but you know, I also saw a news article where a dude took a picture of some baloney and then
come on, man,
and said that it was a photo from the new telescope, and then came out and said that he made it all up just so he could show that it was manipulable.
Bro, baloney is as complex as the galaxies.
Yo, facts. I actually have bologna, mad truth, in my fridge.
This man's going to talk trash about bologna and then eat bologna.
No, I'm just saying.
You're full of bologna, Cullen.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Bring back Clayton. Okay,
This is your last episode. You're allowed to chant. Bring back Clayton.
No, we'll see. This is going to be, I'm excited for this. This is going to be a lot. The thing about Belgian styles is that yeast.
Yeah.
It's just doing all sorts of dances
I
on
know.
the palate.
I know. That is one thing that I don't think American brewing has done well is use a lot of different yeast to create flavors.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we don't really, I don't know. Yeah, we should do it because, well, I mean, Avery is American. I think they're in California.
But they're doing Belgian style brewing, which means the yeast matters.
It's so good though. It's so good. It says it's dark, decadent, and divine, and that is literally exactly how I would describe it. Not as malty as I anticipated, not as boozy as I thought. At 10%, I thought it would taste a little hot, but so smooth, lightly carbonated, very dark, very rich. Not too bitter, not too sweet, perfectly balanced. I'm going to give this boy a 9.
Oh,
I'm going to give it a 9.
damn.
It's good. It is good. It is a great quadruple.
All right, audience, we're sus about how easy it is for Adam to give a 9.
Hey, man, have you ever had Michelob prickly pear? Ooh, fire.
You would give Michelob Prickly a 9?
Jokes.
Okay.
I do enjoy it. Anyways.
No, facts. I will drink the shit out of some Cactus and Lime Miller.
Are you going to talk about me? Go ahead.
All right, I guess it's Michelob, yeah. I guess. Man, it's just so refreshing.
Are you blown out of your socks to another dimension?
It got a lot of hop flavors going on.
Okay.
It met the standard of like, hey, there's a lot of shit going on.
Is it a mega hop?
It tastes like I'm drinking a plant.
See, I enjoy hops. I don't know that I just want a whole mouthful of plant, though.
I actually really like it. This is definitely my preferred style of
Gotcha.
IPA. And, you know, one of the things I don't like about a lot of IPAs that are mega hopped, or what I imagine is this is a double. I imagine it's a double. It's also
Sure.
a higher ABV.
Sure.
It's like 8%.
It's 8.5, I think.
Yeah, it's probably a double. One of the things I don't like about doubles is when I was homebrewing, my favorite double to make was a black IPA because you double it down and the malt gets darker over time.
Yeah,
it was just a natural black IPA. It was money. But that's so heavy in the body when you're drinking it.
Yeah.
It's not light and refreshing like you would kind of want if you're just going to drink a plant. You would kind of want that to be light.
A little more floral and breezy.
Exactly. A little citrus-like.
Words.
So, yeah. Well, that's like when I describe a pretzel stout, I call it chewy. It's liquid.
What?
It's not really chewy, but
What? When you describe a what?
a pretzel stout.
What is a pretzel? Oh, a stout.
Yeah.
Pretzel. I'm like, look, I've been out of the beer game for a while. I was like, are we talking about like pretzels?
Like a pretzel stout.
A stout that's flavored like a pretzel? I didn't know that existed. That's a
Well,
thing?
it's just a stout that has an additional adjunct that's like a pretzel base.
You're like talking a different language to me.
Bro,
right
we
now.
just got to go hang out at Flying Saucer.
Deal. Okay, no podcast today. We got to go drink.
No, well, we are about to have Craft 96 open up literally less than a mile from my house, which is a brewery, it's just a tap room.
Yeah.
And they always have all these different beers on tap. It's
96 taps, I bet.
Yeah, it's like 96 taps. But that's for their main location. I don't know if this location is going to have 96.
Oh, then they can't call themselves Tap 96. Or what is it called?
Craft 96.
Craft 96.
We'll see. They're not open
False
yet.
advertisement.
They're going to be open
Call the
within a
lawyers.
month. So we'll see. But anyways, yeah, when I taste a pretzel stout, I call it chewy. So like this, I want it to be breezy.
Chewy. That's what we were talking about.
So anyways, this is
Breezy.
very good. This is definitely the type of IPA that I tend to navigate or gravitate towards.
I bet Clayton would love this beer. He picked it, right?
He did.
Yeah, this is...
Clayton also spent 9 months living in Belgium.
Oh.
Which, if you didn't know, you can fit the entire country of Belgium inside like 610 loop.
Wow. Tell me more random facts about the 610 loop.
I don't know any.
Oh, just that one.
Yeah, just that one. And it's more a fact about Belgium, just for reference of size. So, anyways, okay.
It's always about Houston, Cullen. It's always about Houston.
We're starting a new series. Well, it's one of the greatest cities in the world. We're starting a new series, and what I think I'm affectionately calling it is Paradise, Purgatory, and Punishment ?
I just like alliteration.
Well, I'm a good preacher that way.
Oh, that's true.
That's why we were trained to be the same kind of communicator.
That's true.
And so I like that element, but it's like it's going to be an afterlife conversation, but it's also coming with a question mark because I really don't got a lot of certainty about any of this.
Because you haven't died yet.
Or just because I don't think the Bible or any like source that can make afterlife claims is 1,000% reliable.
Yeah, because dead people don't write books.
Right, exactly. And or just even tell truths that experientially are ready for me to accept. Like the 90 Minutes in Heaven book and shit. Like I'm like, nah, I don't, that's not convincing to me.
Didn't that get like myth busted or whatever?
I don't know. I'm just saying like, but lots of people have like, I died and went somewhere and came back to life experiences. And I just don't trust any of them. I believe they can happen in the same way.
Do you trust that story from Jesus about him dying and coming back to life?
Yes.
Oh, so there is one.
But that's a resurrection, which I also make the distinction that Jesus is a resurrection where everything else is a resuscitation because everybody else dies again.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Jesus ascends. So you have to make space that's different because he never experienced death again. Everybody else, if you die and then we bring you back to life, you're going to die again.
Lazarus.
He died again.
So he was resuscitated.
He was resuscitated.
Okay. How did we get off onto resuscitation?
I don't know. Because the question mark. Nobody knows.
Oh, because you haven't died yet.
Yeah. So I want this to be a very courteous conversation because this is...
I refuse to be courteous.
That's a lie.
That is not why you brought me on this show.
Adam is the most courteous and political speaking person I've ever met in my life.
Until you piss me off.
Until you piss him off. That's true.
We'll see. Well, this is just episode 2. Who knows?
It's true.
Who knows where this is going?
Anyways, because the other thing is like, I also say I never build theologies off one-off verses. And most of afterlife theology is built off one-off verses.
Yeah, like a couple verses in Philippians,
or those weird intermediary states in 2 Corinthians.
Right.
The one-off conversations about Jesus, the language of Abraham's bosom. We got some understanding of Sheol, but that was like a holding place of the Old Testament world.
Right.
Which, philosophical theology came out and said, well, Jesus went and while he was dead for 3 days, went and preached to them and extended the gospel, and then we converted them. And,
how do they know?
Yeah, no, it's just all bullshit that we made up to fill in spaces to try to build these theologies that there's no way.
Fun stories.
Yeah, there's just no way for us to have those conversations with any kind of certainty.
Just like we can't have a conversation with certainty about the afterlife.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
all of the afterlife. Right. Any of the afterlife.
But we're about to do a 3-part series on it.
Oh, we're about to do significantly more than 3 parts.
Okay, let's go. Where are we going?
Well, we have to start with, we ended the last episode with a conversation about sin. Because if we believe Paul that death comes through sin, that would also be true for Genesis chapter 3. That death entered the world because of sin.
Okay.
But so that would mean that anyone that is going to experience death is experiencing the effects of sin.
Okay.
But you said you don't believe sin exists.
Well, how are we defining sin? Let's define it.
Go ahead. How would you like to define it?
I don't have a definition.
You have no definition.
It doesn't exist.
The definition doesn't exist?
Okay,
I have a very good definition.
Let me guess. Sin is something bad that an individual willingly, I guess you could have like sins of omission, willingly or unwillingly, a bad thing that a person does willingly or unwillingly. Is that it? Is it just a bad thing that people do?
This is. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, I have my own opinion.
I literally don't. Okay, here's how I would formerly define sin.
Okay.
A rejection of the will of God.
That's a terrible definition of sin.
Well, maybe that's why I don't believe in it anymore.
That's a terrible definition of ever having a definition.
Lay it on me, theologian daddy.
The definition of sin that I like to use is that willingly or unwillingly, commission or omission, sin is any action caused by a person that brings about an experience of personified death.
Okay. Any action that brings about a personification of
an experience of personified death. So not literal death, but personified death. Any, like in the
what
same
is
way
personified death? Isn't death
same way
literally personified already? People die?
Well, it's individualized.
Okay, what do you mean?
But personified meaning that an experience of death can be, okay, here's a great one. When a normal person hears death, they go, okay, no abortions. Okay. When I say personified death, I go, okay, yeah, you avoided death by saying no abortions, but you still brought about an experience of death in some cases because the life of that child you forced to be born will not be an experience of life. It will be one of time and time and time again of death.
So wait a second. You would say that the Dobbs ruling was sin?
Yes. I would say that anything that brings about experiences of death for an individual is sin. Sin is causing those experiences.
Do you believe that you sin?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you believe that you sin frequently?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you believe that you sin daily?
Yes, absolutely.
How did you sin today?
How have I sinned today?
Sorry to the congregants of WellHouse that I've just made your pastor confess his sins on live podcasting.
Well, actually, to be fair, I don't think I've sinned today.
Exactly, because you haven't, because I don't think sin is real.
Oh, no, I absolutely think sin is real.
Oh, come on. Give me an example. Okay, how did you sin this past week? I'm going to convince him. I'm going to win the podcast.
I have one.
I'm going to win the podcast.
No, you're not. Okay. Here you go. Okay, WellHouse Church. A value we have around here is be real. Here you go.
Okay,
here's
look,
your pastor
I don't
being
want
real.
you to get fired, but you're going to fire.
I'm not going to get fired. I'm not going to get fired.
I'll put you on the
spot.
spot.
Get fired.
Cut. Bring back Clayton.
I'm a single male.
Okay.
These days.
Okay.
There are ways in which I sin in the realm of being a single male.
Okay.
That absolutely bring about feelings of emotional death for some people if I don't conduct myself well and appropriately.
Okay.
There is absolutely sin that I do.
So
I haven't sinned today because we've been working together all day.
And you can't sin around me. I'm a pastor.
You're not a pastor, though. You're a pagan now.
I'm a Pelagian.
Christian atheist.
I'm a Pelagian now. I'm a Pelagian. You refer to me as a Pelagian. Gosh, where was I going with that? Wait, so you're metaphorizing death.
Well, and sin. Because I don't think it's a law thing either, because I don't think Paul thinks it's a law thing. Acts tells us that you can't eat meat sacrificed to idols, abstain from idols and the food sacrificed to idols, abstain from strangulation. Then they try to tell him to do, all the things. Paul then tells us in Romans 14 that you can eat meat as long as you don't cause anybody to stumble. So sin is subjective. So I'm metaphorizing both to the contextualization of the person and the divinity within each person.
So don't cause others to stumble. So it's
hey, bro, how about you go get that one gun that you own and you and me go rob a bank?
Are you just going to put that out there in front of the camera?
No, that's causing somebody to stumble.
No.
That's causing somebody to stumble. Causing someone to stumble is you making an active move in stumbling someone else's journey.
Okay.
You interjecting yourself into someone else's path.
So you would say harming another human being.
Yeah, for sure.
So the willful act, or even I guess sometimes unconscious act of harming another life.
Yeah. 1,000%
is sin.
1,000%. Harming someone, causing pain.
What about harming yourself?
Ooh, this is a great one because I do want to give the autonomy to someone, but I would say that it is sin to harm yourself because I would say that harming yourself is harming divinity. This is why it's also, This is why it's also sin to harm other people, because you're harming the divinity within those people. To cause harm to divinity or the image and likeness of divinity is to sin.
Okay. I agree.
Pause.
I agree. Hello? Oh, pause. I'm back. What were we talking about? Okay, so you were equating sin. I was trying to understand what you meant by the whole, like, your metaphorizing of death, like when you create the experience of death for somebody. But what I think you mean is, I think I'm on board with the idea that harming another person, and you rooted that in like image bearing. Yeah,
it's about the divinity within each individual.
Yeah, the divinity within each individual.
Including yourself. And this is part of it. You can't have a theology that uplifts another person at the detriment of your own divinity.
Sure.
And so it's about the divinity, the reciprocity of divinity within each person. And sin is causing harm to that divinity. And death is the ultimate harm to that divinity, which is what God felt like they needed to give of themselves, death, and die for this issue.
Sure. So what then is the atonement theory? I know that's not necessarily the topic of conversation, but
it's definitely Christus Victor. It's 1,000%. It's victory over, it's Christ's victory over the problem. But the problem of the Christian story is not sin. That's a stupid misnomer. The problem of the Christian story is not sin. The problem of the Christian story is death. What did God tell Adam and Eve that would happen if they ate of that tree? God didn't say don't sin. God said, if you do this thing, you will die. The problem is death.
Okay, I hear you. And I used to feel this way. I used to believe this emphatically, that like the enemy was death. Death was like the ultimate bad thing.
Yeah.
Death is like the enemy.
It's the adverse experience of life.
It's the opposite of the nature of God.
Yeah.
The problem I have with this idea, though, sorry, am I showing too much leg in the camera? The problem I have with this idea, though, is the creative order, creation itself, the natural scientific process of life necessitates death.
Now,
death isn't always a bad thing in the world.
Only if it perpetuates life. The death you're referring to previously is when God commanded Adam and Eve to take of trees and plants and eat, and animals eat. That is a natural cellular death that is appropriate because it bears life.
So you're saying death that doesn't result in any life.
Well,
what is that?
What I'm defining death as is the experiences that happen as the effects of sin, which those are rooted in the curses first given in Genesis 3 by God. And God curses 4 things. They tell us that death has now entered the world because disobedience happened, and 4 curses were issued as punishment, of those things. That the man would now have to labor in sweat. It's not that he would have to go to work. He was already commanded to go to work. The man would now labor in sweat, and the ground would now bear thorns and thistles and make that job harder.
I do agree that sweat is sinful. I hate sweating. I don't like it.
The second curse is to Eve, that she will now bear pain in childbearing, which also, for free, if she will now bear pain, you would never command someone that you will now have pain in something if they have no reference point for when it was not painful. But for another conversation. Heard?
Okay.
Did you catch my nugget?
I don't want to chase the rabbits through the garden. I'm trying to stick with your one thought process here.
So then she was also told she would live a life submission to her husband.
Okay.
Now, the third curse that was given in Genesis 3 was to the serpent.
Right.
that serpent would now
Like belly in the
experience, that it would no longer walk upright, that it would slither. There was a lot of curses to it. And then the final curse was given in the same curse with Adam, that the earth would now bear thorns and thistles.
Right.
It is that creation itself is now impacted by the experience of death. In those same ways, oppression, work, labor enforcement, causes of effects to the earth are all experiences of death that can be manifested and manipulated in the same way that creation itself grows, adapts, and manipulates itself.
Why would God curse them like that?
That's not this conversation, bro.
That's so mean, man.
Look,
Bro, you put the tree there. Bro, you told him where the tree was.
it's true.
You let the snake in or whatever.
Well, it's true. It's true.
Okay, I'm derailing us here.
You are trying to go have the conversation that causes all of your problems.
I do. Just
Okay, so here's what we'll do.
I might always go back there.
It's okay. I'm going to table Adam on this, and Adam and I will, at the end of this series, which will probably be somewhere beginning around Advent, it will be a cool time to do something on the problem of evil and Christus Victor atonement.
Okay.
So that will be the next series we do.
You know, my training is all in systematics, right? So like my theology is always systematic because, and the reason why I'm saying that is because it's all linked together, right? They all everything feeds into the next system. So if sin is the harm to people, it can't just include people. You would have to include the earth. You would have to.
This is fair.
You would have to include your.
Technically, there are provisions in the law about how to care for the earth and tree creation. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I'm just going off your 4 curse situation.
Yeah, I would agree with. Yeah, even that. Yeah, I don't think that question prohibits. And I tried to recycle. Also, if for some
I try to recycle.
No. Hear this. You will not believe this. What? If for some strange reason someone that works for the Chambers County dump system is listening to this, please reach out to me, because there is nowhere in all of Chambers County that I can recycle anymore, because we don't have pickup.
Look,
there's nowhere to take it.
Only 9% of our recycled material gets recycled anyways. Also, you just didn't know that this podcast was a hot takes of Chambers County politics, but it is.
It do be like that. You've convinced me local politics matter.
Local politics matter. It's where you change things. It's where you change the world. What were we talking about? So sin.
And the way it causes death.
I do like this idea that we're going to define sin as this like willful or unconscious harming of that which divinity
loves and indwells.
Yeah, loves and indwells, but I don't know. I can't go to the divinity thing. See, that's the deal. There is something special about humanity. I'm a Christian atheist.
But why?
I don't know about that divinity
Why
thing.
is there something special about humans?
Because I think, well, we've just dominated the planet. We're clearly better as a species. We're resilient. We're more resilient.
We're the ultimate
parasite. We're the ultimate parasite. We destroy everything we touch. We utilize every resource we come in contact with. But and we reproduce rapidly. Yeah. We're also so resilient. We're like the most resilient parasite on the planet. Nothing holds us down.
It's true.
We're like climate change who? Yeah, Black plague who?
It's true.
Come for me.
We work it out.
I mean, anyways, we're really off topic now. What is sin? But so what is special about humanity is where I went with that. So I like this idea because harming another human being is kind of my red line, in terms of my ethics and my morality. Yeah. I live my life in such a way because I believe there's something in the teachings of Jesus that has taught me to value other human beings and to not harm them, because that's bad. And so I guess, and that's also why I'm a climate activist and care a lot about environmentalism and take climate change very seriously, not as seriously as I should. Of course, none of us can with the systems that we live in, but it's also because of this reason, because I believe that there's something special about this creation that we call Earth or whatever, this scientific anomaly that we call Earth. and I should take care of it. I have an obligation to care for it and not harm it.
But why is there yeah, I agree with you, but my question is, why is there some innate value to humanity? Here's my real
because
question.
I am one?
No. Here's my real question. Oh, is that why? You think it's tribal? Okay, so my real question is, why do you not eat Grandma Betty when she dies? Well, if you are the most conservative person about climate change and resources, why do you not eat Grandma Betty when she dies?
First of all, when you die, you should be turned into fertilizer for trees.
Okay, fine.
So it's sort of like Grandma Betty being fed to the trees.
Okay, but
also in certain circumstances, you probably should eat human beings to save the life of others, and sometimes humans do.
No, so in the sanctity of life conversation, in normal circumstances, why do you not eat a human? We eat everything else that dies. Literally everything else that dies. Because everything you consume died.
Because it's me.
Oh, you think it's you?
Well, I am one. It's hard for me, like, I need to take care of other people. See, this is Jesus. I should do unto others as I would want them to do to me.
It's the divinity element.
What?
It's the divinity.
It's the human element.
It's the divinity. No, you're tying it to Jesus, though. That's the divinity element.
Yeah, I hear
Jesus is speaking to the divinity.
Okay.
To use the most fundamental Christian language, the Jesus in you, the divinity in you, cannot harm the Jesus or divinity in anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that is right.
Same conversation, the reason that is, if you were going to break it down to the most foundational premise, the reason that truth exists is because God made you, and because that fact, God loves you.
No, wait.
Oh, okay. No. So he didn't abide by the presuppositions.
No, I think I'm obligated to protect, care for, and mitigate harm upon the species and its habitat, because ultimately the goal of life is the furtherance of the species.
But why?
Because I'm part of it. Like, our job is to advance us.
And do you think there's a divine element of that mission?
I don't know what that means.
So here's my qualm with you. And I will say, Jon Stewart, I heard him say this one time.
I love Jon Stewart.
Yeah, he's a great voice.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart said this one time. He said that humans are tribal by nature, and so we find enemies to fight. And so we find reasons to fight against the tribe. But the only reasons that human would ever band together to fight a common enemy is if aliens invaded.
Yeah.
Because now we would say, wouldn't say I'm in trouble, we would say humans are in trouble.
Right.
We would now change the identifier.
Right. Which is why climate change is an existential threat to the species, and we should all get on board.
This is why Christian nationalism is an existential threat to the species. Because here's what Christian nationalism says. Christian nationalism says that sin is anything that doesn't look like me.
Right.
Is the enemy.
Right. It's
alien.
This
theology says death is the common enemy, which every human experiences. It unites humanity around a common enemy.
The last great service I will offer to the health and prosperity and future of my species is my death.
You think your greatest value is your death?
It is the last great act of service to the species. It's not my greatest value. My greatest value is my life and how I use it to.
Correct.
Have you ever seen a podcast host text in the middle of filming a podcast?
Have you ever seen a busy man be late to his next meeting and try to figure out what he needs to do?
That's my fault. I'm the long.
Technically, it's my fault because I got a call from my kid's school in the middle of us filming.
That's why
it took 5 minutes.
That's why the chair moved over 3 inches.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like death furthers the species, which is why you should turn into a tree when you die and not fill up a mausoleum.
Oh, actually, we need to have a different conversation about this when we have the conversation about paradise.
Okay.
Because my argument for scripture being valuable is actually 2 Timothy 3:16, that it's God breathed, but only in the same way that God breathing into something is an expanse of life, and the first thing God ever breathed into was humans, and they were somehow perfectly imperfect because they sinned. And so God naturally breathing into something doesn't make it without error and perfect for eternity. It also allows for a further metaphor where the only reason we have life is because of creation, because life is brought about through death or through breath, and we get air and oxygen that we breathe in through the plant matter, through the habitat. Because what we put out, it takes in and gives us what we need.
Life and death, life and death.
And it's this beautiful metaphor of breath, of this reciprocity, of this God-breathed world that we exist in.
I like it.
That will be a conversation for paradise. Today, we've had the conversation of sin getting us to the problem of death. Now, next episode, we will pick up with what happens when we die.
No one knows.
Thanks for listening to the Pints and Perspectives podcast hosted by WellHouse Church. Be sure to give us a rating and a review if you enjoyed the episode. It's free and it helps us immensely. Also, feel free to check out our other podcasts.